Guys, it's gone, and today we'll be looking at some of the prospects that you might see in your fantasy drafts and go over their history as well as a prediction for how their season is going to turn out. First of all, I'd like to say that this is for redraft leagues only. Dynasty leagues are on a whole different level, and if you want some high upside prospects, you can check out my 2021 Breakout Prospects video. Yes, it is a year old, but I believe it provides some valuable insight, and it held up pretty well. Before we get on to the video, I would like to mention that predicting a prospect's turnout in the major leagues is extremely difficult, as it's almost impossible to judge how a player will adapt to major league pitching and the environment around him. However, I will try to give my best guess based on previous stats and scouts' opinions on the matter. Also, even though I'm making a video on prospects, I do not recommend drafting prospects, especially those who have not made their major league debut yet, because I feel like their talent level overrates them in a way, and also it's a lack of production due to service time manipulation. Many major prospects will not play an entire season, and if they do, they will get spot call-ups here and there, which do not allow them to get fully adapted and play to their upside. It's not that I'm against drafting prospects at all, it's just that I feel like they're not a good value at the pick where they're drafted. However, there are some valuable ones, and I will be going over them in that video. Before we get on to the video, could you guys please hit the subscribe button? Currently, only 3% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if y'all do, not only would it help me grow my channel, but it also encourages me to create more videos like this for you guys. And without further ado, let's get on to the video. I wasn't going to put this first, but I just saw something while making this video that was so unnerving that I'm gonna put it first. Catcher Joey Bart for the San Francisco Giants is not rated on any draft boards, despite being projected to be the starting catcher, and he hit amazing across AAA in 2021. What I think happened is that he struggled in 2020, hitting only .233 and slugging .320 across 103 at-bats. However, in AAA last year, Joey Bart hit .294 and slugged .472 across 252 at-bats in AAA. He hits the cover off the ball and should be one of the premier power catchers in the game. If you're looking for a catcher in the later rounds, you can draft Joey Bart. Our first player that I was intending to talk about isn't exactly a prospect, but he might as well be in Franco, who is projected to go in the early 4th round at pick 42 overall. I'm torn on this ranking, and I feel like it is very fair given his upside and floor in the major leagues. Last year, despite being a rookie, Franco hit .288 with 7 home runs and an OPS plus of 129, which accumulated to 3.5 baseball reference WAR, despite only playing in roughly half of the major league season. Some flaws are that he doesn't walk as much as you'd like a player drafted that high to do, and that his power is relatively below average. If Wander played a full season in the major leagues, I don't doubt that he would have run Rookie of the Year and would be in the running for MVP. Wander is one of the breakout stars for me, but I believe that you can get better and safer production out there with a 4th round selection. If you can get a guy like Trevor Story, Chris Bryant, Eloy Jimenez, or Nick Castellanos with that pick, then I would do that over Wander Franco. Otherwise, draft him at your own risk. Although I love his upside, I'm going to meet in the middle and predict that Wander hits somewhere in the mid-280s with 20 to 25 home runs and 5 stolen bases. Next up, we move to an actual prospect in Bobby Witt Jr., and I'm telling you not to draft this guy at his current ADP of 130 in the 11th round. This is nothing about Bobby's skill set, it's just that we've seen this story before. A top prospect on a rebuilding team receives some sort of random injury or setback that keeps him in AAA for the first couple months of the season. We saw that with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Chris Bryant, and even Wander Franco, even though he was on a contending team. Do you really want to use a relatively high pick on a player who only gets 350 at-bats if we're lucky? At that position, I'd much rather get some more guaranteed production in players like CJ Cron, Justin Turner, Chris Taylor, Jake Cronenworth, or Tommy Edman. For players like Chris Taylor and Justin Turner, I could even say that their upside rivals that of Bobby Witt Jr., at least for this year. The golden rule is to wait 3 major league seasons before evaluating a top prospect's upside. My prediction for Bobby Witt Jr. is around 350 at-bats. He'll hit 260 or 270 with 10 to 15 home runs, so not bad production overall. I would just rather draft someone else with an 11th round pick with more stable production. Although Shane Baz is still technically listed as a prospect, he was able to pitch a little bit in the major leagues and dazzled, posting a 2.03 ERA and striking out 18 batters in only 13 1/3 innings, holding opponents to a 130 batting average against. Baz certainly has the stuff to post these numbers across a full major league season with a fastball that sits in the high 90s and some nasty breaks on his slider and curveball, Boz is listed relatively high at pick 155 in the 14th round, but if you can snag him anywhere from rounds 12 to 15, I think you should be getting some value for that pick. Boz is one of the better young pitchers in the league. I predict that this season Boz will challenge Glasnow as the ace of the Rays rotation and post some great numbers. I expect an ERA hovering around 3 with elite strikeout numbers. So in simple, you should draft this guy. Next, we have Julio Rodriguez, who's going in at pick 168 overall and in the 15th round. This pick gives better bang for your buck than Bobby Witt Jr. in my opinion, as even though he's the lesser ranked prospect according to MLB Pipeline, which you can take that how you will, he has the better chance of making the opening day roster and also has the higher upside in my opinion. So far in his minor league career, Julio Rodriguez has never hit below 310 and has always slugged above 520. Furthermore, he seems to have gotten better as his numbers increased over the past few years, despite playing against older and better competition. In fact, last year in AA, he had his best stint ever hitting 362 and slugging 546, with an on-base percentage of almost 500. This almost sudden rise to stardom mimics that of another Dominican player in Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals. While Soto's career is unique to his own, I truly believe that Julio Rodriguez can have a season eerily similar to that of Juan Soto's rookie season. I believe that you can expect a batting average hovering around 300, with 20 to 30 home runs and around 500 at-bats for the Seattle Mariners. Overall, draft this man if he is anywhere around the 15th round. Spencer Torkelson, to put it simply, is your prototypical first/third baseman slugger in the Detroit Tigers system. If you want, you can snag this guy in the 20th round and then immediately put him in your not available slot and play him once he comes up to the majors, hopefully sooner rather than later. I'd expect him to come up around mid-season, but your guess is as good as mine. In his lone season in the minor leagues, Torkelson hit 267 but slugged 552 with 30 home runs and only 431 at-bats. Hopefully, when he hits the majors, his power will stay and his batting average will hover around 250 and not dip into a liability status. He will likely begin the season in AAA, but be sure to watch as a fast start can elevate him to the majors within the first 2 weeks. My suggestion for this guy is not to draft him for now, but instead keep him on your radar and see how he produces in AAA, and then pick him up if he does good there. The last prospect that you may see on some of your draft boards is fellow number 1 overall pick, Adley Rutman of the Baltimore Orioles. Adley's value comes in that he's a catcher and is likely to have better hitting stats than many other catchers you can find in the later rounds of drafts. Like Spencer, you are likely to find Adley still there in the later rounds of your draft and maybe on the free agent pool as well. Adley in his first full professional season hit 285 and slugged 502 while hitting 23 home runs and 452 at-bats. First, I'd like to point out that he got 452 at-bats as a catcher, which is great to see, especially in the era of load management. Overall, just great numbers, especially for a catcher. You hope that he can translate those numbers and especially his power into the major leagues. The issue lies in that of playing time. Like with the Tigers, the Orioles are in rebuilding mode and have no incentive to call up Adley anytime soon. Hopefully, he's in the major leagues when June hits, but you never know with these ball clubs. Unlike Spencer, however, I'm willing to draft Adley with the later rounds of the draft strictly due to his upside he has as at the catching position. Though you will not see these players on your draft boards, here are some prospects that I like and I think that they could provide immediate value to an MLB team. Don't draft these guys per se, but definitely keep your eyes peeled for when they get called up to the majors and pick them up and put them in your not available slot. First, we have Gabriel Moreno, a catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, who last year hit 367 and slugged 626 across 3 levels of minor league baseball. If he comes off to a torrid start like he did last year, he could be one of the best young catchers in the game. Although I don't really like rookie pitchers, Grayson Rodriguez pitched to a 2.36 ERA and held opponents to a 159 batting average and struck out 161 batters in 103 innings. However, I will doubt that he'll be called up until very late in the season. Tristan Casas is a more balanced version of Spencer Torkelson, hitting better for average but sacrificing on home runs. He does have a strikeout issue, but accrued 57 walks across 308 at-bats, so the on-base percentage value is there. Hunter Green finally pitched to his potential in 2021, pitching to a 3.3 ERA and 139 strikeouts in 106 innings across Double and AAA. He's one of the most MLB-ready prospects in the Red system and should be challenging for a starting spot come opening day. Some people say Alek Thomas had a breakout 2021 campaign, but really he was just on par with the rest of his seasons. Alek in his minor league career has hit .312 and slugged .495. Although the home run power isn't there yet, he has gap-to-gap power, and with his speed, he was able to leg out 12 triples last year. Oneil Cruz is a 6'7" shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates and got some time with the Major League club in 2021, getting 3 hits and 9 at-bats, including a home run. Cruz has the frame to be a star in the making and has some light tower power, hitting 17 home runs and only 271 at-bats across Double and Triple A. Oswald Peraza is a solid shortstop who hit .297 and slugged .477 with 18 home runs across 494 at-bats. He should begin the season for the Yankees in Double or Triple A, but you can expect a call-up sooner rather than later. Lastly, we have Nolan Gorman, a second and third baseman who has a well-rounded game. Across Double and Triple A, he hit .279 and slugged .481, while hitting 25 home runs and 480 at-bats. He doesn't walk as much as you would like him to, but his power makes up for that. Although I wasn't able to talk about every prospect ever that is likely to make the major leagues this year, I did think that I did a decent job at enlightening you on some of the best ones, and overall, it's your job to be checking the news box and see which players are coming up, and then make decisions based off that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below new video ideas. I'm going to do a pretty long video where I go over each position and then the overall plan of what you should do at each position. But if you guys have any other ideas, let me know in the comments below. After that positional video, I'm going to probably stray away from fantasy baseball, at least until the start of the Major League season, and instead focus on videos that are really just baseball themselves. But again, if you have ideas, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.